Fake Lego is absolutely everywhere nowadays. You see all sorts of knockoffs on eBay, Etsy, Amazon, all sorts of fake Lego minifigures, Lego sets, and you see all sorts of things on Instagram, people posting about genuinely fake Lego that's just straight knockoffs, and it absolutely destroys me from the inside out. But I, of course, make custom injection molded accessories that are specifically designed to go perfectly with your Lego minifigures. So, what I want to talk about today is the Clone Wars Star Wars Sentry Gun that I made. It's 17 modular parts that are injection molded right here in the United States, right here, literally in my garage in Washington State, to be more specific. And this is the one thing that I'm okay with. This is custom Lego. Now, I'm not aiming to knock off Lego directly. I'm trying to make something that Lego will never make and add to the Lego system, especially the minifigures. I absolutely love the minifigures and I love Star Wars. So if you like Lego, if you like Star Wars, and if you like minifigures especially, this is a cool item that I want to show off today. So this is the Sentry Gun. You've seen this in a couple different episodes of the Clone Wars. What's crazy is there's not a lot of like documentation on this on like Wikipedia or online. All of the reference pictures I'm going to show in this video, I had to take from taking quite literally pictures of my phone or my desktop when I was streaming. And I found a lot of different cases where this was used from everyone from just the 501st, the Clone Wars themselves, and then we have the Pirates, and then like Hundo, and then we also have a couple different Rebels in different episodes. So this is a pretty widespread gun actually, which is what's crazy, but there's not a lot of documentation. It's very similar to the dual blaster cannon and the quad blaster. That's why I love these three modular guns that I've made. I think it's really cool that not a lot of people know about them, and then I made them in Lego, and all of a sudden people know what they are. And if you guys are a hardcore Clone Wars fan, you guys know exactly what this is, and you guys probably recognize it. But I want to go in depth, and what's so cool about this is it's perfectly scaled to a minifigure. You can see how a minifigure can hold the full grip on, spread his full arms out, and then the size of it. If we look at some of these reference pictures and we look at the size of it, the minifigure standing up can just barely see over the top of it. It's a pretty bulky and pretty giant gun, honestly. It's got 4 legs that are pretty huge. It uses like this energy system through the bottom, through like a hose that goes to a big ammo box, so it sucks the energy and shoots lasers out. I don't know. No one knows how Star Wars stuff like that works, but I think it's really cool that we nailed the size of this. It looks perfect with a minifigure, and overall, I'm really happy with the scale of it and how everything looks. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the reference pictures here. You can see all the different details. We have this larger fin on the top. We've got this detailing on the front of the muzzle. Then we, of course, got the 4 legs. And then we've got these side armor plates that you can see in these different reference images here. This is literally what me and my designer did. Is we sat down, I found all these different images, and we just started making things. And before I did all of that, I had a couple reference images, and you can see here, I'll show on screen, this is me taking a piece of paper and being real rough and just kind of coming up with the concepts, looking at the different parts and seeing, okay, what details do we need and what details can we live without? Luckily, this is like a perfect storm of an item because there's not a lot of like fine detail. It's very blocky and chunky, and that lends itself very well to Lego. As you guys know, super high detailed parts with Lego just don't fit right. They don't look right, and it's got to be very kid looking and kid friendly, but also I want it to get the point across that yes, this is the Sentry Cannon from Star Wars, especially the Clone Wars. So that's what's really cool about this. I hope you guys see the resemblance in all the reference pictures, and then of course the model itself. But other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the individual parts and how they're made. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the individual pieces of the Sentry Gun itself up close and personal, and I'm going to just explain them a little bit. So first off, we have the cone piece on the bottom of this quad pod, I guess you would call it, because there is 4 legs. So it's not a tripod and it's not a bipod, so I'm going to call it the quad pod because it sounds cool. But this is a cone piece here. It's got a standard Lego bar connection point on both ends, so I'm curious to see if anyone uses this to build something off of and make it really cool. Maybe use it in a different mock or maybe like a mech or something like that. And that is wedged between the pivot joint, the pintle mount itself, and then the main plate for the 4 legs. And so if we take a look at the center mount here, it's just this big plate that has the 4 clips on the side with a little bit of detail in between, kind of a big chunky piece there. And then of course we have the legs to this. These are really cool legs. I'm really curious to see if anyone will use these for anything else. It's very much a sci-fi tripod leg that people could use for something else, so I'm really excited to see what other people use. So obviously all 4 of these legs are the same. Then we've got the pintle mount itself, which is a pretty chunky part, and it's pretty standard U-shaped pintle mount. You guys have seen these on everything from M240 Bravos, MG42s. Pretty much every major machine gun has a very similar pintle mount, or like a 1919 or something like that. And so all of that connects to, I don't know what I want to call this, like the center receiver, I guess, like part of the larger barrel section. And so that has some 2 little divots there that this just simply clips into. And then of course we have the main barrel that attaches to the front of that. Once again, a standard bar connection point, so a minifigure could grip and build off of these holes and pins. And then of course we have the 2 holes on the top of this barrel, and that is what the fin itself attaches to, that adds that extra cool detail. It looks very much like a 50s 60s era car with the cool fin on the top. And then there is a separate nozzle piece that gives the end of the barrel detail. We wanted to make sure we had all the detail from these reference pictures. If you see, you can see there is a kind of like, it looks like a spokes on a wheel on a bicycle kind of detail. And so we wanted to make sure we were able to get that. And the only way to do that was to make a separate part. So that's what we went ahead and did. So all that pushes together nicely. And then of course, all of that goes to the main receiver block itself, which is the giant piece. This is probably one of the chunkiest pieces of plastic that I've ever injection molded. If you guys didn't know, it is very difficult to make large chunky pieces like this. You try to hollow them out as much as you can to get rid of any of the mass that you can in the volume of plastic you're using. And that is exactly why there's a big hole in the bottom. That is literally serves no function other than it removes volume, so you have less issues when you're manufacturing it. But it also allows you guys to position the gun itself on the quad pod, and so it's not as heavy in the back and it's not back heavy. So we're removing volume and removing weight. And then moving on to the back of that, we have the, I'm going to call this, what do I call this? Like the control panel plate, and that pushes into the back there. And then we have the 2 handle pieces that push into that plate. And what's really cool about this control panel plate is you can see we went ahead and looked at all the reference pictures that I found through watching the Clone Wars, and we tried to model the most accurate and kind of basic universal screen display. And I think the top parts like heating exchangers, or, you know, to cool down the weapon, the red stripes, and then of course we have like the targeting system and some different buttons down there. So that's what's really cool about this, is I also did include a UV printed part. So we mold those and then UV print them all in-house. And then the last piece of this, obviously we have the quad pod fully assembled, we have the gun itself that clips together, and then we have the 2 left and right hand shields that go on the sides of the pintle mount that gives the side of the gun a little bit of armor and protection. So overall, really cool. Like I said, 17 unique, actually technically not unique parts, but 17 parts. And it's really cool that, you know, I'm able to make all these parts fit together seamlessly. It's a lot harder than you think. I had to remake a bunch of different molds to get parts just to fit perfectly. And I'm really excited with how it turned out. And the fact that we have the UV printed screen on the back is just amazing. So overall, really cool, really excited about all these parts. And one thing I want to mention, do you guys want us to make these in different colors? I know we offer this one just in gunmetal because it is the most accurate color. Same with the dual blaster cannon. We offer it in gunmetal. It's more accurate, but we also do sell that one in black. So I'm wondering, would you guys like us to do maybe a limited run of black versions of the Sentry gun? Maybe even some silver ones or other colors? Let us know in the comments down below. Let's go ahead and show you guys how to assemble this now. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you guys how to assemble this. Once again, I do include an instructions with a QR code on the back of all of these that I sell because it is 17 parts and it's not exactly self-explanatory. I feel like most of you guys, if you guys have built Lego stuff or custom Lego stuff before, you'll be able to figure it out, but this is just a good recap and it's kind of cool to see how this thing goes together. So first of all, we're gonna have to find the pintle mount. It's this U-shaped mount here that we push that peg through this, I'm gonna call it the quad plate. And so we're gonna push that through, and just like that, and then we're gonna find this cone piece just like this, and it goes underneath the bottom of that, and we sandwich that larger plate. So that's the first step. Then what we're gonna do is we simply take the 4 legs themselves. Once again, all the legs are the same, so it doesn't matter what positions you clip these on, but these just go around all 4 little clips, and then you have the quad pod fully assembled. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and move on to the gun itself. I'm gonna suggest that you guys start with finding the smaller barrel piece. So it's this piece here. It's got a peg on the back hole on the front and then 2 little holes on the top. Find that and then find the nozzle itself or the muzzle, and we're just going to push that on. That's what gives us that extra detail that we talked about. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the larger barrel here, and we're just going to push these two together. And you want to make sure that the 2 holes on the smaller barrel are pointed up in relationship to these dimples. So you can see the dimples, they're not centered on the larger barrel, they're slightly lower, and that's where the ground is. So you want that pointed towards the ground. Then what you want to do, find the larger receiver block itself, the big chunky piece, go ahead and push that on and make sure it's straightened out and looking good. And then what we're going to do, you can take the fin piece. Once again, it has these 2 little pegs, and you're going to push that in firmly on the 2 little holes on the top, and that gives you that cool fin detail. Then what you're going to want to do is I would find the UV printed like control plate, if you will, and then the 2 little handles, and then just gently push those in. I would support it with the back of your with one finger, and then push in with the other, just so you don't flex that control plate, because it is quite flimsy. And then you have that assembled, and you can push that in the back of the larger receiver block. Pretty straightforward. Now what we can do is take the finished quad plate and the finished blaster itself, and we're just going to snap that into the pintle mount and those dimples there. The last step is to take the left and right hand side of the armored shields, whatever you want to call it, the armored plating, and those simply push onto the side of the pintle mount like so. And now once again, there is a left and a right hand side, and you might have to adjust the legs of the quad pod and just rotate them and just wiggle them all the way down as far as they can go, and then put those armor plates on. But overall, pretty straightforward how to assemble this. I think it's so cool that I'm able to make 17 unique parts and make this giant machine gun that looks so cool with the minifigure. It's so sweet how you can stand a minifigure up behind it, and it's like the perfect scale, and you can clip the 2 hands together, and it's perfectly spaced out, and it looks absolutely awesome. I think we really nailed the scale of this. So overall, really excited with these. If you guys want, we just restocked them. That's the reason why I made this video, is I just restocked these on the website. We made a batch of 100 of them, and I'm assuming they're gonna go quick. They're already selling before I posted this video. So if you guys have been wanting one, they've been out of stock for a while. If you guys are a Clone Wars and Star Wars fan, this is a great pickup, and I can't wait to see you guys post them, and I can't wait to see what you guys build with them. All right, guys, peace out.